Hello and welcome to the Sound in Picture podcast. This is our very first episode. I'm your host. My name is Yavor Zografski. I am a music producer, a sound engineer, and also founder of Sound in Picture. So I started this podcast with the idea to invite different audio and visual artists and entrepreneurs from the art field, both to learn something new, to connect with new people, and also to present inspiration, maybe new knowledge, motivation for you, our audience. And I'm very happy to have the first guest and launch this podcast with A.Fruit, a musician who makes really sick tunes and who's gonna share her story and something about the industry. So, hey Anna, how you're doing? Nice to meet you.
Hello, Yavor. Nice to meet you, and thanks for the compliment on my music. I'm glad to talk with you today. I'm just having my morning coffee, so hopefully I will wake up.
Yeah. For people who are listening and watching, Anna was making tunes till 2 o'clock last night, so she needs a bit time to wake up. But tell us a bit more about yourself. How did you start making music? Did you learn this or are you self-taught?
Well, I've been loving music for basically all my life, and when I was a child, I was learning music and dancing. I didn't finish the music school, but I used to play the guitar. Like I learned to play with a teacher when I was like 13 years old, and later, I don't know, by the end of high school, I discovered that I can make electronic music, and I just did dive into that and still kind of swimming in that world of sounds. Yeah, so it's been a long time, like around almost 15 years since I opened Ableton for the first time.
So yeah, you just learn it by yourself and just trial and error. And do you think like watching tutorials is something important, or would you like rely just on practice and figuring out stuff by yourself?
Well, at the time when I were starting it, there were no many tutorials. I think YouTube just appeared, and like it was the year 2008, probably. So mostly I was figuring things out by myself, just by like trying, like deleting, trying again. And I feel like if I did have an opportunity to watch a lot of tutorials to see how other people are doing that, it would be much faster and easier for me to learn. So now, if I have some question, I never hesitate like searching that on YouTube and seeing like how others doing something. So yeah, I would recommend. I would recommend to check out the source, like who is that person who is explaining, because there's a lot of shit out there on YouTube, and like sometimes you can do things easier and better than someone's advising. But there are some channels like which are really trusted, and you can use it for your production easily. Yeah, that's a good thing.
Yeah, definitely. I've also seen some tutorials where they just say wrong things. They're just totally wrong. And even some students of mine, because I also teach music production, some students of mine come to me and send me some videos and tell me, oh, this guy told me to do this and this online. And I'm like, no, this is like totally the opposite way. So yeah, you really need to pick your sources right and just also try to figure stuff out. So yeah, you discovered electronic music. Which electronic style was your, let's say, first love and influenced you to carry on with A.Fruit?
Well, I wouldn't say it was one genre, because as you can hear, A.Fruit music is like pretty much between genres, and But yeah, I definitely think that footwork and like footwork juke music switched my style. I'd say that. In Probably it was also influenced. I mean, I'm sure my music was influenced by like experimental artists, by like early hyperdub and Ninja Tune, Planet Move, this kind of uh, IDM stuff.
And you've grown up in Russia, right? In Moscow or St. Petersburg?
Yeah, I was born in Moscow, and most of my life I spent there. And then I moved to St. Petersburg just around 5 years ago.
Was there a scene when you were starting, like in the footwork or even jungle? Was it there? Like
It was always very small. Yeah, it not a scene even, just like some particular producers who are making something in this kind of genre or close to it. But I literally had to develop that scene myself. I wouldn't say that I made the scene or I actually developed it, but I did make some parties, invite a couple of artists, so we at least had something going on in this genre.
yeah, definitely. If you
Yeah.
organize parties, you're definitely influencing the scene for sure. And especially if there aren't much parties like this already happening in the same place. And
Yeah, there wasn't, and I think it was just a few people who were sometimes doing something. A little bit earlier, maybe in like 2011, 12, there were some more promo groups liking footwork, and even DJ Rashad was brought to Moscow back then. And also we had I think even for several times we had like hyperdub nights with like Scratcha DVA and Iconica. But yeah, that was many years ago. Yeah. Nowadays it's very different times.
what was your first label deal? How did you discover them, or did they discover you? Would you think that it's best to first reach out to labels or wait for them to contact you?
My first release was on a Polish based label called Sequel One Records, and actually it were they who discovered me, but the way that is not working anymore because they literally found my tracks in SoundCloud groups. I think they're not existing anymore. Like there were just groups where you could post your tracks, and I didn't release my tracks. I didn't know where to send them, but I was just constantly reposting them in these groups because I wanted to reach more people. I didn't know how to grow my audience and stuff, and somehow they found it there. But I do think it is important to send your music out to labels if you want to release it all the time, and it's especially important to make this first step, like to find your first label, because after I got this first release, it wasn't a big or very well known label, but it was known within the community of like footwork and like footwork jungle 160 BPM music. So it found its initial like first listeners from where it can start to spread more. So, and I think if I were reaching out to labels, it would work eventually as well. It's just important to choose like a few, no one label, but a few. Not necessary, as I said, not necessarily have to be big or very like known, but just something that is within the scene. Like maybe it's some label by an artist from your genre or something like that. But yes, I advise everyone, and I hope you guys will send your music out, because sitting and complaining that it's you have nowhere to release the music doesn't help. Only sending it out to labels help.
Yeah, definitely. You need to be very proactive, especially nowadays, because the market is oversaturated. Music technology and information is so easily accessible, so everybody can really start doing this. So yeah, and you're about to actually this podcast is gonna air after your US tour, right?
Yes, it's unbelievable. Yeah, I've been there. Last time I've been there 3 years ago, before COVID, and now it's the first time I fly so far away with my music again.
And is this like your second tour over there or your third?
Uh, yeah, I'd call it the second. I mean, I was there for 2 times in 2019, but it was just in one summer. So, yeah. And my visa got burned with the COVID. So no, I happily got another one.
And let's say you're already like a talented musician who knows music production and who does good job at DJing here at local clubs and local scene, and you want to play outside. How should you approach this? How would you find a booking agent or a manager? Do you need that? Is it an essential piece? And just like, can we take a sneak peek behind the curtain of just booking shows and finding your first booking manager and just the role in this? Mhm.
Well, I think that if you want to have a career as a DJ, I mean, like constantly having shows and stuff, you would need to have an agent, because it's a lot of work. It's like you need to get it in contact with all the promoters. I mean, they should get in contact with you. They should like get you tickets, like hospitality, and I mean, it's a lot of work, which I prefer that someone would help me to do, because I'm not very good at organizing, at like time management. Like I'm more like this crazy artist thing that will go to sleep at 2 at night, like, and can easily like oversleep something. So agency really helps with all that bureaucracy questions, with emails and stuff. But the thing that agency can't help is, as I feel, it can't help you to grow your audience or to get much more promoters reaching out. This is pretty much depending on how much music do you release, like how seen are you. I mean, how often you appear in like interviews, in like some mixes, series, like in social networks. And all this stuff makes people want to book you. But what doesn't make people want to book you is some agent that is like writing them every week, like, oh, do you want to get my artist, like blah blah blah. I mean, it's often I think that people often misunderstand like what the role of an agent is.
Yeah, definitely. And so Yeah, so usually you would say that the clubs and promoters should contact the agent and not the other way around.
Yes, most of the time, yes. I mean, the agent can reach out to some promoters who are already aware of who you are, or maybe to try to show them like their artist's music. But yeah, I feel like even the agency itself gets interested to work with an artist when they see that artist is growing, the artist is releasing a lot of music, and I mean, it's sad, but yeah, the market is so fast and it has so many people in there that like nowadays we need to do much more than just make music. You know, we need to be basically everywhere.
Yeah, take care of promotion, like even make post something on social media, even if you don't like social media, or even if you don't feel like you have to do all this stuff. And what would be your approach of finding an agency or a booking manager? Like, is it the same as a label? Do you send multiple emails to some agencies, or is it more like they should reach out first?
I can't speak for everyone. I mean, probably it's different. Like sometimes maybe some people can reach out to agencies and somehow start working with them. I don't know. But in my case, it was always someone reaching out. Actually, I don't have an agency for Europe yet. I just moved to Spain, but like I have, I mean, sometimes people are reaching out to me about bookings, but I'm about to wait like until I have someone who can help me with that. Yeah, and yeah, I think it's better to just be seen, and maybe after that to post something on your socials, like when you had a couple of good releases and stuff, and people can see that you're working hard. Then you can post on your socials that you're looking for an agent, and then maybe ask friends to repost it. Maybe if you have some friends who have a lot of followers. I mean, that's how I was looking for a job. um, just shouting everywhere that I needed, and then eventually it helped.
Yeah, and maybe the agencies are also following some of their favorite labels, and when you release on a certain label, the agent is gonna hear your music and discover you that way. So I guess both are really interconnected, and sometimes even the label is also an agency, and they also throw parties. They can be even a promoter, an agent, and label it all at once.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, of course.
Mm. Yeah, it's interesting. And do they usually take a percentage or a flat rate when they, like the agent, when a booking happens?
Yes, I think it usually between like 10 and 20%, but depending on like how much work are they doing. Sometimes maybe more if they like run festivals by themselves and like doing like a huge amount of work. But yeah, regular is like 10 or 15 or 20% fee from your artist's booking fee. So they just take a part.
All right. Yeah, this is interesting stuff because I follow some podcasts, but I've never heard like a music podcast talking about this part of the industry, which is kind of like the only part where a musician can earn income nowadays, except commercial projects, of course, which you're doing actually. You're making also sound and music for games and commercials, videos. How did you start? Like, what's your focus right now? Do you make more music for games? And do you actually think that you should be a gamer to make good audio for games?
Hmm. Uh, Starting from the last question, uh, no, I don't think it's necessary to be a gamer. I do think it's important to have some experience in playing games, so at least you can understand some mechanics, like of different kinds of games. Of course, I mean, like the difference between like arcade and I don't know, RPG and like boarding game. This is something that's important to know, but you don't have to play games like 20 hours a day, like 7 days a week, so you can be able to work in game industry. Even maybe it's better that you don't play that much, so you have some time to work. Yeah. And yes, and your another question regarding how I got there and what I'm mostly working on. I got there because I was skeptical about getting money with my experimental music. I wasn't like from the start, I didn't have that approach that I will get a lot of money, that I will get famous. No, I mostly was just wanting to make something I like and I don't know, and sometimes travel and DJ. So yeah, I was just thinking, in what field can I apply my knowledge? Like, it's the thing that I like to do and I can do the best is produce something, produce sounds. So yeah, I just started to shout as I told you, like shout on socials that I make music, I make these kind of sounds, just put a little portfolio and eventually some like game development guys reached out to me because they liked the stuff I posted, and then they gave me a test job. And I'm still working for them like 9 years later.
Oh,
Like,
9 years is
for the
actually a lot of
same
time.
for the same team. But yeah, regarding commercials, advertisements, it was like also just some director was looking for sound designer, composer, and somehow people I worked with before, they remembered that my style of music was similar to what she was looking for. So it's always like in the commercial field, it's very often that you worked once and if you do well, like other people start to reach out. So in the commercial field, people just recommend workers to each other.
Like a snowball effect. It's
Yeah.
just hard to start, but later on you got inertia and
If you're doing it well, if they like your work, that will work.
yeah, definitely. This is a field where you just can't hide mistakes. Like if you're maybe I don't know, if you work as an accountant or something else, your mistakes wouldn't be that visible, although they may be, I don't know. But if you're a musician making music, like it's out there, you can hear everything. And also, like, yeah, of course, quality and relationships are really the most important thing. Like building a strong relationship with the director who's gonna remember you next time they get another gig. And in terms of creating the sound for video and games, is there a different approach when you make music for both?
Well, I like to work on both, but I recently just got into working with advertisement, and I'd say it's a little bit more money in that field of advertisement, and it's a little bit faster producing, and like it's a bit more stressful, but it is interesting. With the games, I mean, the game can be developed for a long time, and you can do this like a track a month, and it is like kind of, I mean, it's different on different projects, but projects which I worked on, they were kind of stretched in time, and it's a lot of sound design. So it's also a lot of short sounds, which are interesting to make, but it's kind of becomes a routine when you make hundreds of them. in the advertisement you have this whole video, which has the start and the end. And you
It's
usually,
usually 30 seconds or 1 minute.
yes, 30 seconds, and you usually just have like 2 weeks to, or something like that, to finish. So it's just, you don't have time to get bored of that. So that's the difference.
Mm. And in games, you still create the sounds in Ableton, and then you export them and give them to another person who uses a different software to integrate them, right? Or
In my case, yes, but it's often like, especially if you are working for like big gaming company, for example, like Rockstar Games or something. It's usually, if you see the job offer on like on the internet, they ask for the sound designer to also know these programs for integration, like WWise, F mode. You also need to know like the engines for games, like Unity, for example. This is like a complex knowledge for a game dev sound designer. It is possible to learn. Like, I mean, if you spend like a couple of weeks on this programs, it will be nothing difficult if you already can use Ableton, for example.
oh, really?
to
Because it
create
sounds
music.
like mentioning all engines and stuff sounds completely different. But if you say a couple of weeks, that's actually a pretty short time to.
Well, if you really, really want it, I mean, it still needs experience of like months or even years that you get a deal in that. But at least, I mean, to have basic knowledge to be able to work on that, I think, yeah, you can spend a few weeks learning and reading manuals, and that will work. But as for me, I was just lucky to get this kind of job in game dev where they didn't use these standard engines. They had their own engine for the game. And that's why they had a person like who were making all the integration of the sounds. And still, I only do the creative part of work where I produce sounds and music, and then yes, other person is integrating it.
How do you clear your head after a session or a whole week of working on advertisements? And actually, when you work on such commercial projects, do you find time to make your own music, or do you need to separate those and just find different periods?
Well, it's always different. I can say I have the recipe of like cleaning head and switching between projects, but I do like doing several projects at the same time. Not having two Abletons open, but like in the day I can work on my commercial project, on a game or advertisement for like 3 hours. Then I get lunch, and then for like 2 or 3 hours I can sit on my own track, and then later after dinner and I don't know, watching some YouTube, I get back to the commercial project again. So that's how I like to work. I can even work on 3 or 4 tracks during one day, and I always move a little bit on all of them. So it's not like I work on one thing and I forget completely about all my other projects. But sometimes it's just too much. Like if you have a lot of work, it's just no inspiration and no power to work also on music or mixes or something else. So as I feel, the main thing is to have enough rest, is to not making things in a panic, not rushing, and that's how they usually turn out more of a good quality.
Mm-hmm. Do you rely on inspiration to hit you, or do you just force it out?
Sometimes I get stuck. I really can't move forward on a track. And it doesn't matter if it's a commercial track or my track. Just sometimes you get in that state. I'm jealous to people who don't get. I don't know if, probably they exist. But yeah, simple stuff helps, like going out, meeting some friends, just switching to some other stuff, especially some social stuff, that it helps me. Like if I switch to some other person's story, or just I need just to do something else that will make me forget about that track for some time. And then when I come back, it's a lot of chances that I will fastly move forward. But I think it doesn't make sense to put pressure on yourself, like when you can't do it. Like if I sit and if I can't choose the snare for like 30 minutes, I'm saying to myself, like, hey, stop. It's not the best moment. You should somehow clean your head and then try again. And that works. Like the day later, or even a few hours later, I come back and it goes well.
Yeah, with some self-compassion. And in this podcast, we're also gonna ask some of the musicians to share some of their projects and talk about a tune that they made. So now we were talking about you showing us a project on your screen, and maybe first it's best to actually hear the track, and then we can discuss the story behind it. Maybe you can show us how you arranged it.
This is a track called 2036 from my last EP on Yugo. It's like kind of political. It was just 2020 when Putin changed the main law of the country to rule until 2036. And this track has only a few lyrics saying, okay, 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 okay. And that was like how people did not react on that. And it was like, I was disappointed by just how easy it went for the dictator to take more power. So that's about the name of the track, and it is quite a dancefloor one. My idea is to add some changes to the rhythm, so I can have something fresh to play in the US. I mean, it will be still my track, but it will sound different and a little bit surprising, maybe. That's a thing I learned I heard other producers making, like making edits of their own tracks for their live shows. And I liked the idea, and not very often, but sometimes I do that. And this time I decided, yes, to change this track a little bit. Let's hear how it sounds. Yeah, so as you can hear, I changed the kick and in the bass line, and it completely changed the vibe of the track. It's still kind of good for the dance floor, but it's totally different rhythm. So yeah, what I did is I just took the same bass line, yeah, and I kept this rhythm together with the kick. And I just changed a few other sounds. I removed a couple of tracks, and now it sounds like almost a different track. So I'm happy about it.
Yeah, we're actually towards the end of the podcast, so just anything you want to share before we wrap this up?
Yeah, it was very nice to talk with you. And if anyone wants to find my stuff, you can just put A.Fruit without space, just like one word, A.Fruit, on Spotify, Apple Music, SoundCloud. You can also find me on Instagram as Fruit Base. And I wish everyone a lot of inspiration, and hopefully I'll make something for your sound and picture blog someday. I really like your work.
Thanks a lot. Yeah, it would be great to have you on and do a release with you as well, for sure. It's been a pleasure talking to you. For the people that wanna find us out, make sure to visit us at soundinpicture.com, or just write Sound in Picture and on Facebook or Instagram or SoundCloud, or we have also Spotify playlists. So if you want to support the podcast, just make sure you follow us on the podcast page on your favorite platform. And we've prepared many interesting guests. We really want to keep it consistent, so you can expect a variety of different interesting stories from people. And that's about it. Thanks for being part of this, and see you soon.
Thanks to you. Bye bye.